Hey guys, welcome to the Vault. We are back with some more exclusive content. Today we are here to talk about a really polarizing topic in the fitted community. Some people on one side, some people on the other side, some people in the middle, some people don't know how to feel. But stealing designs, borrowing designs, jacking designs. We're here to talk about it all. It's all based on our opinion, so none of the opinions we give is we can present as 100% fact, but we're gonna talk about it. So, Pierre.
Yeah, good thing is I think all four of us are really in touch with our feelings. I mean, Andre's
Yeah.
a sensitive type, look at him.
Yeah.
Big teddy bear.
Yeah.
Leon, we know your feelings, and Jason Mead he's just oozing with feelings. So listen, I think we'll start from a place of like let's talk a little bit about like maybe the landscape right now. Right?
Okay.
So I think the hat world's getting more crowded, right? There's a lot more people playing in the sandbox. There's a lot more people rubbing shoulders and kind of next to each other. And I think what we're starting to see as a byproduct of that is a couple of things is, first and foremost, I think there's a lot of great designs out there, but there's also the ability for maybe the person that put these designs together, right? I think there's an ability for others to kind of take that and sell it in their own stores, right? So basically you're building a creation with somebody else's Legos. The Legos belong to New Era. You have this creation, and now it's free for anybody to take and sell in their store because they're not your Legos, right? But a couple of things. First, you've got designers that are making those things, and they're really excited to put them out and show them to the world within their own, their own store, online entity, whatever it may be. And you have other people that are kind of watching as this stuff is occurring, right? Are you guys following me so far?
Yeah.
And now we're all watching very closely. We see every hat that comes out. We see, all right, this hat, that one was made by so-and-so. This one was made by that one. And, we're trying to guess which is which. Sometimes Hat Club will create a batch of hats in a colorway, and you'll see them start to leak out in other places. Prior to that, and you're trying to figure out, was that actually Hat Club's or was that theirs or what happened? And sometimes you find out that, hey, Hat Club was putting together this collection. These didn't get approved, but this store put them out while Hat Club was waiting for them to get approved. It's like all this like minute. It's like crazy. Like there's just all this stuff going on, and everyone's trying to figure out what's what. Then you have people getting insulted by the fact that something's getting taken. You get other people getting defensive that they're getting called out for taking someone else's design. I don't know. That's kind of the landscape, right? Am I missing it? Am I missing the mark here? Or is that kind of the landscape?
No, that's accurate.
No, I think you nailed it.
Yeah, it's kind of the landscape. So, for example, we'll dig in here. Okay, so Leon's really excited to get to this topic. So John Jay from My Fitteds has been doing a double up collection that we actually debuted here, right? When they were coming out. We did a whole show on it and showing off the unique design and whatever. And the design consists of a side patch and a back side patch, right? A side patch on the back that were thematic. You all know no one else is doing that. There's no one else doing that. No one. That's him. He did that with his team. Then we go and we see Just Fitteds from Germany, pops it up and says, they don't say exclusive. I want to be clear. They did not say that. They put it up and they just landed in Germany and they're going to sell them. A Toronto Blue Jays one that was based on Drake's Nothing Was the Same album cover.
Right.
But alongside that, that's one. Alongside that was a Montreal Expos one that John Jay and his team also put together that has yet to be released by My Fitteds, but Just Fitteds is selling it in Germany now. Now, let's dissect that a little bit. Okay. And I want to hear your take on it. So you've got the creator who's probably irritated, even though he built it with somebody else's Legos.
Right.
He built it.
Yep.
Okay. And then you have, so that's one part of it. And then you have Just Fitteds, who's like, all right, my stance is I want to be able to sell this in Germany. I have these other barriers preventing me from doing what I want to do here in Germany. So I'm going to just do it, Now, devil's advocate, maybe they don't know that My Fitteds is doing double ups, but everybody else does. So, like, what is your take on this, guys? I'd love to hear it. So you guys, we got the landscape kind of figured out. We're talking about this. We're zeroing in on this one specific piece, and then we'll get to others. But what is your take on that?
I mean, for me, there was another company, I think in New York, that originally was the first person that I saw take the double up, and that was the Tampa Bay Rays. It was a design that My Fitteds had dropped. I saw that, and I was like, that's kind of weird because I guess let me back up a little bit, because obviously I think the thing that started this trend was probably the pink bottom, right? That was the first thing that we saw. Everybody who was on a wave, and then colored hats. People haven't been calling other stores copying for colored hats forever, because that's just the thing that's kind of been around. Lids has had them. Everybody's had them for so many years. So the newest thing to the hat community, obviously a couple years ago, was the pink bottom. Pinks, ices, they start going to different companies. People start questioning if that's still in their designs. Now, obviously, I think to a point, eventually that's going to get big enough where every store is going to start grabbing pink bottoms because that's what everybody wants. Makes sense. But then it started getting specific. Hat Club would drop a collection that was a specific color. People would take it. I feel like going fast forward, a lot of the people kind of hashed out their differences with that and kind of just accepted the fact that, a lot of other stores are going to be, using these designs and stuff like that. But then, which I think is harmless, like, to an extent. I think at first it was kind of, everybody was on edge because they're like, yo, it seems like you're. But a lot of these other hat companies were creating other things as well. They were doing their own custom things, but they also had designs like Pink Lemonade that everybody wanted. But then when you have something that you create, like a pink bottom's a pink bottom, right? Or like a collection hat is a collection hat. Obviously, if you're going to make every team in a collection, if a store buys one or two of those, that's what they know they're going to sell. My thing is like, when you do something very specific, like a double up, and then somebody takes that design, I feel like that's a little more personal, because that's
absolutely, I agree.
Like, damn, bro, like that's a custom, right? That's not like a new era custom. I threw a couple color palettes, I threw a name behind it and put it out.
The complexity and the thought behind it's different. So exactly. You have two, right? They have this template of double up, 100%. Which everyone laughed at when it was first put out. I'm not saying everyone embraced it now, but a lot of people have. Then on top of that, they said, all right, Drake's from Toronto. Let's take the Nothing Was the Same album and let's model the colors and be very specific about where we put the colors on this double up. There's two layers to it. This wasn't something that someone just slapped together. Right. Someone spent time sitting down and figuring all that out. They were picking the specific Lego pieces for their creation, right? And I'm using that as an analogy. I know people are probably going to get sick of it, but it's true. Okay? And then one morning he wakes up and he sees that Just Fitteds is releasing that in Germany. They did nothing but select it from a catalog. So let me ask you guys a question. Would a better route have been to post the hat and say, hey, whoever put this thing together, wow, thank you so much for allowing us to offer this to our customers in Germany. We want to thank you. Is that a better route, Leon?
It's tough, right? There's so many angles to this, right? Like, as a customer who just wants hats, you don't care where it comes from, sure, whatever. I get that point of view. As a creative person, I don't want to be able to be limited in the sense that, this store did that store did this. Now all of a sudden I can't use pink, or I can't use this, or I can't do that.
Yeah.
And then from the design perspective, I totally feel for the creatives. So you guys say it's worse than the color. I think it's very, very similar to the pink bottom stuff, right? Like, a lot of people made fun of the pink bottoms. A lot of people, you want pink on a hat and whatever. They took a risk and they made it cool. And then now other people can ride that wave. To me, it's very, very similar. It's just happening again in a different kind of fashion. It's a very, very complicated issue.
But why not acknowledge it? Why like get called out for it and then turn it into something else? Which
I think they're playing ignorance, right? So they may get designs designed by New Era reps, like let's say like the Paisley under or the design with all the caps. That's something that was designed at New Era. Maybe they can't differentiate, or they didn't do the homework to figure out, what's a quick strike item versus, what someone else's design. It's a lot of ignorance, and that will only get you so far in the court of public opinion, I think. Um, but like, what's a good way to announce that you're just stealing someone's stuff?
I think the way I just worded it.
I feel like in a way though, I feel like an integral person, if you know that you're taking other people's designs and you seen that they just dropped it, like I mean, my fit has just dropped a hat like 2 weeks ago. So like to come in, like if you're gonna take people's designs, you gotta at least let them breathe. You know what I mean? It's like, damn, they're not. So you're just like it. I feel like that's the disrespect, because the thing is like, okay, this is what I'll say. Obviously, I think at first I was like, yo, it's kind of whack that other people are taking pink bottoms, right? I was like, it's kind of corny, right? Because it is, you know what I mean? Like it is, like I get it. But at a certain point, it gets so big that you're not left with a choice, because it now is the trend. Like these hat companies are not going to be in business unless they can sell this, right?
Well, because that pink bottom, that Lego piece is nobody's.
Correct.
It's in reality, it's nobody's.
Exactly. My thing is what I was saying kind of about the collection copying is like, this is the thing, right? So if you make a collection, I'm just going to use examples. This is all hypothetically. I'm not saying what right or wrong in this situation. I'm not taking a stance, but all right. So let's just use green eggs and ham, right? If Hat Club makes every single hat green eggs and ham, like every MLB hat green eggs and ham, then no other company can make a green and a pink hat, period. They just can't. They don't have an option. So their only other option would be make a different color. But if Hat Club has made a black and pink collection on every single team, then that store is left with not picking any other team in that color, like with black.
You're right.
Regardless, they're going to say they copied. So my point is I understand to an extent why somebody would have to do that. But in a situation like this, if you see a company that just like my fit is that just sold that hat 2 weeks ago, probably still has some of those in store, then you come out with that design 2 weeks later, you kind of just,
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you another question, Jason. So if the intention is, if they sold through those so quickly, there's a huge, you see this on Hat Crawler, there's a huge demand for that. Nothing was the same cap, right? Everyone wants it. What happens to the ability? What happens to My Fitted's ability or desire to do a pre-order now?
I mean, it's obviously hampered because, I can go buy that hat from another store right now, not have to wait the 3 months for My Fitteds to put the order in and get it delivered to me.
Right.
So now I'm going to pay a little bit more for it because of, shipping and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, it obviously hampers him.
Yeah.
I mean, he could do it again and he's going to sell a ton of them. But yeah, I could see the point that, now I can't like re-up the stock on this, or I can't put out a pre-order for it because the market's not there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
that's what I'm getting at. Is like, there's way more of an impact here than people might think.
Now
my bad, go ahead.
Yeah. Now we've been lucky enough by doing the show and doing all of our other things that we do in the hat world that we've got to personally get to know some of these creators, right? And we know what they go through, what work they put into designing these hats. A lot of people will say, well, you're just picking colors. Yeah, but they're picking colors for a specific reason. They're picking logos and side patches and things that go together for a specific reason, whether it's, they're inspired by an album cover, a car, a shirt they saw on the street, another hat they saw somewhere else. They're spending hours, days, weeks into these designs. And then just to have somebody else go and order that number from a catalog and not even acknowledge,
That's my problem.
not even acknowledge the work that they put in to come up with that design in the first place is what really bothers me about it. I can completely understand stores wanting to sell these designs. They're hot.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
sell.
yeah, go ahead.
And yeah, I really don't have a problem with that per se, because I'm more of a collector than a creator. But just to even not even acknowledge it and to flat out deny that somebody else created it, that's what really bothers me about it.
Yeah, I think the callousness of the response is what bothers me. I'd rather if you just ignored it, if anything. Because
Sorry.
I just think like, listen, everyone's watching right now.
Right.
Like, you know, because hats have never been this big. And everyone's watching right now and paying attention and sees these things. Like, just acknowledge it. Be like, you know what? Yeah, let me share why and be very specific, you know, like, I don't know. There's some things out there about like minimums might be different, or, you know, if you make your own, you have to order more, right? But if it's something that's already there, you can order less, whatever it is.
My problem with that, though, the reason why that's a stupid ass thing to say is because it's like, okay, so that's basically you saying out loud that you're just not confident in your product.
Yes.
Because so you'll order, so then how many of those hats did you order? Because if there's X amount that you order for that, but you're not confident that you'll sell the quote unquote minimum that you need to sell your own, then it's kind of like you just not confident in your own business, which to me is what makes it the shady part. Like, it's one thing to take it and have your own shit as well, but it's another thing to take it and your only thing you do is take. Like, you can't do that. Like, you can do that, but just know that don't call yourself a creator. You know,
well, the ratio has to be different too. Okay. So like, we'll acknowledge this. Sports World has sold Hat Club designs.
Of course.
Diallo 1515 Diallo did, right? We saw him in there. We saw Hat Club designs in there.
Caps USA for you.
The difference is for every one, there's 10 of their own.
Facts. Or more. To be honest. Like,
yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you, like a lot more. Like,
yeah, the ratio is different. When we see a drop and 9 of them have already been seen by other hat companies, or a drop where 1 out of 20, so, you know, it's different.
Right.
ECAP City, when they put up something, it's like, all right, I can pick out. We literally pick out the ones that were just, so you don't have the time to sit down. So let's get away from Germany for a second. Let's talk about ECAP City. You're going to tell me you don't have time to sit down and do what John Jay from MyFitteds or these other folks do, to sit down with a rep and figure out what's the best way to go and design a hat together and do all this cool stuff that creates a unique product for customers. You're telling me you don't care about your customers. Yeah. And don't try to hide behind, I'm just trying to give them something they can't get because it's sold out everywhere else. Make your own shit. Make your own shit.
I agree. But I think though, like, one thing I will say is that I feel like what's gonna have to happen is maybe there's gonna have to be a shift, and some way to counter this is to
let's wait on that, Andre.
Okay.
Let's wait to the resolution, we think. Because I think we have an idea about resolution, right? Because I want to wait until we get to the point of painting the whole picture and then get to the resolution.
All right.
Because I want to hear what you think is the solve. I just want to wait 1 minute before we get there. So the last thing I want to talk about is perception, right? And how it affects vendor to vendor, how it changes, right? So you've got, if Sports World puts out a hat, sometimes people think, where'd they get that design from? People will say, all right, ECAP City, they're automatically the one that took the design. That's what just everyone assumes, right? Blah, 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 blah. But certain places you don't think that, right? So like, if Hat Club puts out a hat, you never think that they took something from somewhere else. So I'll give you guys an example, right? MyFitteds did a Texas Rangers cap with that old logo, like with a powder blue hat with a green under. And now Hat Club put it out with a blue, like in the blue, the darker royal blue, right? No one says nothing. So I'm not saying Hat Club did something wrong. I want to be clear here. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, why is there varying perceptions of a company's integrity all the time? It's like this thing, like Hat Club can do no wrong. I'm not saying, I want to be clear here. I'm not saying Hat Club did something wrong. I'm saying, why is it different from vendor to vendor? Now, I know
if that was another hat company, they would get flack for it 100%.
Yeah, and even My Fitteds, we never say it about My Fitteds either, right? But I think My Fitteds is creating stuff that's so unique and different that you can't, you really can't.
I've legitimately seen like My Fitteds like maybe one time where they dropped something that was almost similar to somebody else's, and you could tell that it 100% wasn't intentional. It was just luck. Matter of fact, I want to say the hat dropped today. I want to say there was a hat that dropped today that I was like, oh, I think that's like a hat, but I know that wasn't his intention. He probably made that hat himself, and it was probably differences, but it just, that's just how sometimes like
you're onto something. You're getting there, Andre. So what is it? So why is it that we look at it? You just talked about what's the difference between let's say ECAP City, right? And I want you to think about ECAP City on one end, My Fitteds and Hat Club on the other. What's the difference? Tell me, guys, what's the difference?
They don't they don't have a mouthpiece,
right?
So like, as
100%.
much as you want to say, like, people know Justin. They didn't always know Justin. People still think T800 John is fictional, but at least they know Justin, and Justin has some mic time, and
it doesn't even have to be about Justin specifically, guys. No. It's there are people that we know in those, their faces that we know, right? It doesn't have to be Justin. It can be Ben. Ben is synonymous with Hat Club as well. It's just there's an outlet where people are talking on behalf of that company. So Andre, going back to what you were saying, John Jay.
Yeah.
And you've watched his work. So you've built he's built up credibility with you. That's what I'm getting at.
100%.
Yeah. Right.
It is. It's all branding. It's all of it's branding. Like when I don't know, it's crazy. Like some of these people that are behind the companies, they really put in work and they're really creators. You know what I mean? So I just feel like people got to take that into consideration going into a business. I know everybody wants to win, you know what I mean? Obviously, but like in the same sense, you can create your own path. You can create your own wave. You know what I mean?
100%. Have some confidence. Bet on yourself.
Right. You have to.
Yeah. So Jason, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was just, I don't want to say it's like branding, but these creators are out there. They are saying, hey, look at these designs we're creating. They give us previews of stuff they're creating. And so we know that they're actually creating and submitting this stuff to New Era. We don't know that about some of these other companies. Maybe they are, maybe they're just happening to put together a hat that looks awfully similar or even is the same, right? As another hat done somewhere else. If you're genuinely going and putting together a hat, designing a hat, and it absolutely matches something else that somebody's already done, I'm okay with that, because you're not copying what they did. You just, incidentally created the same hat at a different time. But we don't know that about some of these companies that don't get out in front, don't connect with the community.
Yeah. There's two components to it, right, guys? It's the body of work and what we see, and the personal human element of it, knowing the person, right? Because to me, like being able to look someone in the eye and talk to them, or or even like, see them on an Instagram live, whatever, you build up some like, hey, all right, that's got me thinking. But some of the folks that do this, and 10 out of 13 designs or something that we've seen already, they're not necessarily at the forefront coming to talk about it. And I think there's good reason as to why.
Yeah.
100%.
That's the reality of it.
I know you guys can relate to this too. It's like when we know the store owner, the people behind the business, it's a lot harder for us to be critical of their stuff too.
It is, but kind of. I mean, I still have the
No,
ability.
We'll still go off. We'll still call a spade
Yeah,
a
I mean,
spade.
John
At
Jay,
the end of the day, you're
he
not gonna
shows me
feel-
stuff. I'm like, nah, man. I'm like, this ain't it. But
Yeah.
I think there's one other element that I want to introduce to it before we get into the solution, and it's the difference between a big company and a mom and pop shop. Okay, a big company has way more capital, way more money to put down on these hats, right?
Yep.
Way more ability to kind of go deep in stock, right? And then mom and pop shops, a lot of them are like trying to make it. They're trying to feed their family. This isn't like there's a big corporate entity or something like that that's kind of behind all this. This is, you literally walk in and the owner's behind the counter. And his wife might be over to the side and one of his kids may be in the stock room. I mean, this is different, man.
Mm-hmm.
So I do understand why, if you're in a position where it's about putting food on the table, you're going to have a different approach to business. I mean, because at the end of the day, it's not illegal. Nope. It's not illegal. There's nothing, again, it's somebody else's Lego pieces.
Yeah.
But I do want, that's something to always think about. Huh?
You make a design, it goes into the New Era catalog. Like that's the thing, right? Like no one owns the color, no one owns the design.
No.
Right.
And Leon, that's why I have more of a understanding of some of the smaller folks doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I mean, there's definitely a difference between, like Hat Club not ordering enough of, let's say the Cardinals icy blue hat, and another store ends up picking it up and people end up buying it, versus someone who releases it first.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. This is such a difficult issue to kind of dissect, and there's so many different angles from it.
Yeah, this was just a start discussion, right? Because I'm hoping more people comment and they say, hey, listen, this is what I think. I don't know, like when Lids had a couple of designs stolen, right? We saw Lids design stolen.
Yeah. You're digging if you're stealing a Lids design.
Well, no, you're not. No, I think Lids put out some great shit.
No, they did.
They did.
They did.
I'm
just saying that no one.
But I don't care. But I don't care that.
Safe.
Can I be honest with you though? I don't give a shit that someone stole Lids design. Why?
I think it's funny
because Lids is a behemoth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the biggest thing. They're not beatable.
Don't ever forget they're the big guys on the block.
Regardless of facts.
So I don't give a damn if they've had their design stolen, and they probably don't care. I mean, they don't care. Shit, man. I mean, their platform and their ability to sell something is way different than everybody else's, right? But at the end of the day, I think we all kind of stand united in terms of our thoughts, which is just create.
Mm-hmm.
Create. Believe in yourself. Bet on yourself. Create. Because I gotta be honest with you, I want to see. I've bought hats from Just Fitteds that I am pretty damn sure, Major League Baseball hats that they designed themselves, and I like them.
Mm-hmm.
And I like them.
That's some good stuff.
I like them. I have them. They did a Kinston Indians minor league baseball cap that is amongst one of my favorites. Right? They did a Red Sox cap in black and pink before Hat Club did it. Everyone was clamoring to say that they took it, and they didn't. It was their own.
It was different.
It was different.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what we're saying is create on your own. Just create, bet on yourself, create. Believe in yourself. And like Andre said, Andre's saying you just don't believe that you're going to put out a good product. Believe in yourself and do it, because right now everybody wants to see it.
Right. But I'm even saying too, like if you can't create, if you don't have that eye, if you don't have the time, if you don't have the talent to put these things together, and you are ordering designs out of a catalog, right? Do it with a purpose and just acknowledge that it was designed by somebody else, that it was put together by somebody else. Just acknowledge it.
Yeah. Just say, hey, we had the pleasure of finding this, and we want to share it with the world. And we also want to shine a light on the original person that put this together. That's it. Now, Andre, you were about to get into a solution. So what do you think is a solution here?
I think one way to combat this, as funny as it sounds, and I know not everybody's going to be able to do this, but they kind of have to maybe figure out a way. But I think more stock might be a solution because, like,
Mhm.
even though, I think the biggest fear, I mean, I think what I see a lot, I think a lot of these hat companies' biggest fears is that they don't sell shit out, right?
Mhm.
And that it's going to sit. And it's like, my thing is I get that, like I get that you're scared that if you order more hats than you normally do, that they're not that optics wise, it's not going to be as quick. But on the flip side of that, before these were hype, you definitely had 99 Yankee patches sitting on that same shelf for
Yeah.
I don't know how many years. So
Yeah.
my thing is I feel like giving people the a way to always be able to get it is not going to necessarily stop other companies from stealing, but at least if people are knowing that you're stealing, and at least if that talk is going back and forth, that's going to still drive customers to the originator too. And they're still able to buy that hat from that person where it's like, had John Jay, and this is no shade to him at all, but had My Fitteds had more of those Toronto hats when the whole situation with Just Fitteds just happened, My Fitteds would have sold way more of those hats.
But they can't though. This is the problem, is that they don't have, listen, they're literally putting, tens of thousands of dollars into stock that they don't have yet.
Absolutely. No, I understand. That's what I'm saying. I
Yeah.
know that that's like obviously a big thing because majority of people don't realize that most of these hat stores are small. Like there's not, I mean, Lids is the big hat store. Like outside, even Hat Club is small. I mean, Hat Club is big, but Hat Club is small on the scale of like, of numbers. You know what I mean? Like there's way more people that like fitted hats than Hat Club can afford to buy fitted hats.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If they could buy 10,000 green, I mean, if they could buy 10,000 of every green icy, they would. You know what I mean? If they could sell them, they're going to do it. So I'm just saying more of like, in time, as time goes, as these hat stores continue to grow and stuff like that. I mean, try to maybe keep a little bit of stock and see if that helps, kind of combat some of those people that are taking your design, so then people know where the originators were and they can go back to that person and buy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a roll of the dice. It's a roll of the
three
dice.
things that affects that though. Like, so number one would be New Era kind of changed the way that they accept money from cash on delivery to prepayment up front. Number two, pandemic and how slow it takes to get the thing. So maybe now you have to lock in your money 4 months in advance.
Right.
And then number three is like, this is a bubble that we've never seen before.
Agreed.
And who knows if it keeps growing or if it pops. Like we don't.
What if Lids is ending? What if Lids is ending it right now for these small guys, right? And
yeah,
I'm not saying it is, but let's say they do.
They very well could be.
They could be.
So now you've got all your money locked up in this bunch of hats for 4 months. I mean, that's a lot of time to just basically put your money on ice, right? And
well, I think the uncertainty of it too is like, when do they arrive? So like, I think sometimes they're waiting for hats to arrive to be able to like get their paycheck. I mean,
yeah.
There's
Or
times,
keep the lights on, put food on the table. I mean, a lot of these small shops are literally a family.
Yeah.
There's been times where I didn't get a New Era order for 2 months. It's not because I stopped ordering hats. It's just they were stuck in port. There's like we're dealing with something that like we've never had to forecast. Like who could have guessed? There's no more commercial. There's like very little commercial travel, so nothing flies over by plane. You got to ship it by boat. Now China's running out of shipping containers, and boats are stuck in port. Like you would have never guessed.
I would. This coming. I would think, but Andre, there's a lot of validity to what you're saying. If you have the ability to, right? Like for me, like Hat Club's notorious for having a tiny stock room, a warehouse, and like just make a bigger one. Like I mean, in all honesty, like to me, there's a little bit more means with that company than the mom and pop shops on Jamaica Ave, right? But I want to introduce this, and then we'll kind of wrap up. Is why not just? I know this isn't going to happen, right? Because because at the end of the day, New Era is a business too,
Mhm.
and they just want to sell hats. But why not just lock the material ID for 12 months
Or even 6 months.
or even 6 months,
Oh.
whatever?
Yeah.
But give each retailer, based on their size, a number of locks that they can utilize. Based on size, based on buying power, whatever it is. I don't know. That's just me thinking outside the box here, but there's the only way that this stops, if it needs to stop, maybe it doesn't even need to stop. Maybe it's just annoying. Maybe that's just an annoyance to the creator, and it's just not enough of a thing to worry about for anybody who
I
cares.
don't think it bothers companies. I don't think it bothers all companies the same way it does everybody. I think somebody like My Fitteds, I can 100% understand why they in particular would be offended, because the thing about My Fitteds is, one, it isn't a big store at all by any means. And two, they're extremely original. Like, it's not, they're so original that, like, I know they've made like maybe a couple of pink bottoms, but it is like so rare that they even do that, because and even like icy blue, that's just like, they always try to recreate something that they do that's original. That's how I've always seen. I've always took that from them. So for them, I kind of understand like wholeheartedly like their creativeness. Obviously there's a couple other stores that, but again, I mean, I understand why.
Yeah.
I think there's one
stuff like that. Like, they're just trying to stay afloat. It's a weird game, man. It is.
Yeah, for sure.
I think there's one like factor that we're not even really like discussing, or we haven't really brought up. It's the reps. I think the New Era rep, they're shorthanded. So what's easier to do? Sit on the phone with a store and let's make a maroon Pirates hat, a green Boston hat, or we just order 6 things that were already approved, that we don't gotta wait for approval. If I'm trying to get the order in,
which is why I'm okay with it. Which is why I'm okay with a mix, right? I just want to make sure my position is clear. I'm okay with like a mix, like every now and then. I think the ones that irk me most are the ones that didn't even get released yet, and it's like they just happen to get it. It's like ridiculous.
That's like the most egregious.
That's the one that's the most egregious.
Egregious.
Yeah, it really is, man. I mean,
but people need to, I guess, like, that's one of those things. Like, if I was a business, and not for nothing though, when people are stealing their designs, this alone, like what we're doing, is exactly what happens every time somebody steals a design. So like, people are going back and forth, and it's just making both of those companies bigger at the end of the day to an extent. But it's just like one of those things, like you said, like a mix is cool. I think, just try to be original. You know what I mean? Try to be a creator.
Yes.
Try to work with integrity. Try to make sure that your goal isn't to shit on somebody else.
Treat someone else like you want to be treated.
Exactly.
Like you know what? Like we're just about wrapping up, but just like Just Fit is, they have some exclusive stuff, right? How are they going to feel if all of a sudden you just allow the floodgates to open, and we're allowed to take their crossbat style, and just like anyone can do it? How would they feel about that? How would they feel about that? How would they feel about if one of those Fred Flintstone hats they make that are exclusive to them got stolen? It was allowed to be made in whatever material that anybody else want to make. How would you feel then? So this is just varying. It's just basically kind of swaying it in the way you want it to work for you. Yeah. So it's like, oh, okay, it's not okay to take this from us because it's exclusive, but we can take this from you because it's not. It's like, just treat others the way you want to be treated. How about that? How about we start there? So I know I'm going to go on a little bit of a tirade here. I don't have any ill will towards the people at Just Fitteds, other than I think this behavior is disgusting. That's my opinion, and I'm allowed to have that opinion. I'm allowed to have that opinion. And if you want to plead ignorance, fine, plead ignorance, right? ECAP City, you want to plead ignorance, fine, plead ignorance, but I don't buy it. Okay?
Yeah. And
you know what?
One store that didn't do it, right? Shout out to Pat over at Topper Z when he got hip to it. People went after him hard in the comments, like, "Hey, you took this," and first time you get a pass, he apologized, and we don't even think of him as that guy anymore.
I've said this so many times, man. Acknowledgement, like it makes you somehow not guilty in the public's eye.
Yeah.
And I mean it, man. If you just own it and just say you did something and just move on with it, man. Just be like, yeah, listen, man, the hat was badass, man. So I want to sell in Germany. Like, I mean, who cares? At that point, I'm like, all right. I think the way you react to things changes the perception.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't get defensive, guess what? No one cares. Like, just acknowledge it and just move on with your freaking life and just say, this was an awesome hat. When I saw it, I knew I needed to sell it in Germany.
Because I knew my customers wanted it, right?
I mean, come on, man. I mean, that's it. I think we've kind of gone down a long road here.
Yeah.
But it was fun to talk about. I think we've been talking about this to the side, right?
I mean, you know, open invite. Whoever wants to come on as a store, a representative, a designer, good, bad, or ugly, whatever. If you want to,
I have no problem with ECAP City coming on here. I have no problem with Just Fitted's coming on here. I have no problem with anybody coming on here. Just ask you. We'll let you on. We don't hide from these conversations.
Nope.
And let's say I'm wrong.
We could be wrong.
Hey, could be.
We could be wrong.
Could be, but I mean, listen, where there's smoke, there tends to be fire. That's what I've learned in life.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Like, we talked about it a lot. Like, you build up credibility. There's a personal touch to it all, and you start to believe in that and understand that. But don't get defensive, and also don't trash your competitors like that either. Like, to say, like, I don't know.
It got ugly.
It got ugly, man. It got deleted after that, but it got ugly. Like, what do they have to do with what you're doing? Like, that's the worst thing you can possibly do.
Right.
It's like, listen, it's like, all right, hey, we think you did something wrong. Oh, what about this one and that one? Look at what they're doing. They're culture vultures, all this shit. Wait, get the fuck out of here with that. Get the fuck out of here with that.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, because what that is that says to me, you know what? That says to me, you're not comfortable with something you're doing.
No, they're not comfortable in their own skin. They know.
No, but they're not comfortable. They know that we know, and they're not comfortable with what we know about what they're doing. And it becomes like, let's shift this to two other innocent parties that aren't even a part of this conversation, because actually one of them did the right thing and said, yes, I did do that, and I won't do it again. I don't want to be known for that.
No bullshit.
That's it. All right. So now I have to pick and choose, because I think our two closers are two Mariano Riveras. Now are Munfu and
we could throw it to Jason.
I'm
more of a setup man.
He's the John
Darren O'Day. He's
the John Wetland to Mariano Rivera, right? Because Wetland was the closer.
A bullpen,
the setup guy,
assistant.
Right, cool. Why don't we do this? Why don't we switch it up? Why don't we have Munfu take us out tonight?
All right, man. Listen, drop a like on the video. It's important. More people will see it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Make sure you put in the comment section how you're feeling about this topic. Honestly, do you care? Yeah. I know y'all don't. I know a lot of you guys don't care, that people, because you just want the design. I get it because I'm always mad that they never copy the good designs. I'm like, why you don't copy the one that I really want? Somebody remake the green icy 99. All right, I need it. But listen, drop a like on the video, man. It's been real. Peace and love. And in the words of Leon, stay fitted.
See you, everybody.